And Father Murphy told me to go to bed. And so I went to bed with my pants around my ankles, still. And, went to bed, lied down in bed, and then, he touched me.
Father Murphy's abuse would come to the direct attention of Cardinal Ratzinger, but his handling of the case would stun Murphy's victims.
I think what the Murphy case shows is the deference that Cardinal Ratzinger and Pope Benedict would always give to the priest.
What actually happens in court?
Today, Terry Kohut is suing the Vatican for what Father Murphy did to him at St. John's. His lawsuit is the first to ever specifically name Joseph Ratzinger, now Pope Benedict. Until now, Terry Kohut has been anonymous, named only as John Doe 16. In this exclusive interview with CNN, he is going public.
Yeah, I was confused as to why it was happening. Here he's a priest. I was trying to figure out I can't believe a priest would do that.
From 1950 to 1974, Father Murphy abused as many as 200 deaf boys, according to court documents.
This was the St. John's School for the Deaf. It's now a different school. But for many people who were voiceless and vulnerable children, it remains a frightening place because it's the place where they were molested and sometimes raped by Father Lawrence Murphy.
The priest is believed to have picked out victims who were especially vulnerable or had been through tragedy already in their young lives. Terry Kohut fit that pattern.
My brother was electrocuted. Died when I was 10. And when I was 11, my father hung himself. And at 12, my favorite dog died and tore me up. And I saw Father Murphy. And I thought that he could be a second father. But to my shock, he took advantage of that.
Carl Nelson and Stephen Geyer were at St. John's with Terry Kohut. They say they were also molested by Father Murphy.
It wasn't easy living in the dorm. There were no parents, no police. We were stuck. It was like prison. You can't get out.
Carl Nelson had been a Lutheran, but Father Murphy helped him convert to Catholicism and then began visiting him at night in bed.
I was just a small kid, and he was such a big, strong man. What could I do?
On numerous occasions, the boys tried to tell people about what was going on. Family members, other priests. No one believed them. Carl Nelson said one group of boys actually went to the Milwaukee police begging for help. But the police took them back to Father Murphy.
We talked to the police. We told them our story, but they believed him. They believed Father Murphy, not us.
The boys from the school even put out their own flyers. After years of allegations and threats of lawsuits, local bishops finally moved Father Murphy in 1974 to remote northern Wisconsin. There, more reports of abuse surfaced.
Tell me why, Terry, you've decided to file suit. What do you want to see happen?
I want to sue the Vatican because I've been waiting for all these years for them to excommunicate, defrock Father Murphy, but they haven't.
In 1995, Terry Kohut began writing letters about what happened to him.
You wrote an amazing letter to Father Murphy in 1995. I want to read part of it. Jesus on the cross on the wall saw you coming every night to molest us. He must have been shocked and grieved every time. I hope he cried like we did because we were innocent children.
Terry Kohut sent copies of his letter to the Vatican, to the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. The head of that office was Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, now the Pope. Coming up, see what the Pope knew and what he did about Father Murphy. the mid-1990s, allegations of rape and sex abuse by Father Lawrence Murphy at St. John's School in Milwaukee came to the attention of the Vatican. The trail of documents unearthed in the Murphy case goes right to the top of the Vatican, including Pope Benedict, then Cardinal Ratzinger.
And as long as this work needs to be done, I feel blessed to have the chance to do it.
Minnesota attorney Jeff Anderson is the lead lawyer in Terry Kohut's lawsuit against the Vatican and against Pope Benedict. Anderson has filed hundreds of lawsuits for sexual abuse victims of priests and has obtained a massive trove of internal Vatican documents to build his case against the Pope.
Do you think Cardinal Ratzinger knew about the case of Father Murphy?
We know the letters went to his secretary, Bertoni, and we know thus that Ratzinger was directly involved, not just because it was addressed to him, but because it was handled by his secretary and in his department under his authority and control.
Sex abuse cases were not then Joseph Ratzinger's primary responsibility as head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, or CDF. But a handful of cases, like the Murphy case, did come to his direct attention. These are the cases that give us the clearest look at what the Pope knew. It is through rarely seen internal Vatican documents obtained by CNN that the true story is revealed. On July 17, 1996, the Archbishop of Milwaukee, Reverend Rembert Weekland, wrote to Cardinal Ratzinger, describing Father Murphy's abuse and his use of the confessional to solicit sinful actions. Reverend Weekland asked Cardinal Ratzinger how to proceed. It would take 8 months and 2 more letters to the Vatican before he heard back. Cardinal Ratzinger's secretary, Archbishop Tarcisio Bertoni, wrote back to Weekland, telling him to proceed with a secret church trial. Then Father Murphy himself wrote a personal letter to Cardinal Ratzinger, saying he was 72 years old and sick. He wrote, "I have repented of any of my past transgressions, and I simply want to live out the time that I have left in the dignity of my priesthood." After Father Murphy's personal letter to Cardinal Ratzinger, something seemed to change. The letters from Rome struck a different chord, seemingly sympathetic to the molesting priest. Cardinal Ratzinger's secretary wrote to Archbishop Weekland, asking him to give careful consideration to pastoral measures, counseling and supervision, instead of a trial. Weekland disagreed. In May of 1998, he flew from Wisconsin to Rome to meet with Cardinal Ratzinger's team. Notes from the Archdiocese log of that meeting state, "It became clear that the congregation was not encouraging us to proceed with any formal dismissal." Finally, on August 19, 1998, Archbishop Weekland agreed with the CDF suggestion to put together a pastoral plan, and he stopped the trial. That meant Father Murphy would remain a priest for the rest of his life.